gotta be against the law to look this damn good. Watch out now. Cause baby, I feel real good and I wish I would. Watch out now. It's gotta be against the law.
Wake up! Yep, it's that time again. Vape AM, brought to you by vapors1.com. I'm your host, Anthony Ramella. All right, guys, Wednesday, about hump day. We're making it through. It's almost over. Got a couple days left of the weekend, and I can't wait. Father's Day weekend coming up. I'm going to see my son. I'm pretty happy about that. Should be a good time. I don't get to see him as often as I'd like because we don't live close together right now, but I am looking forward to that. So like we do every day, well, not every day because I've been mixing it up this week, but like we're going to do today, we're going to do a little bit of history because it's a pretty cool history day today. Well, I don't want to say cool. It's interesting history day today. So I'm going to read a little bit this morning just so I don't misquote this stuff. So in history today, back in 1692, the first victim of the Salem witch trials, Bridget Bishop, is hanged for witchcraft in the colony of Massachusetts. Perhaps the most notorious case of mass hysteria in colonial America, the Salem witch trials, saw around 200 people accused of witchcraft, and 19 were found guilty and executed. Another man who was crushed to death, there was another man that was crushed to death for refusing to plead guilty, and 5 others died in jail. The incident began in February of 1692 when a group of young girls claimed to be possessed by the devil and accused other women of being witches. Hysteria spread through colonial Massachusetts, and a special court was convened to hear trials of those accused. By September, public opinion had turned against the trials and eventually closed early in 1693. The cases became notorious and were interpreted by later generations as a warning sign against dangers of religious fanaticism, isolation, and lapse of judgment. In 1711, the convictions of 22 people were reversed by the courts and their families were given monetary compensation. All right, so these people were actually put in jail in 1692, but they weren't released until 1711. And the reason I bring this up, I really feel like the vaping industry falls into this situation where we are just a witch hunt. They are looking for issues to kind of demonize us because they can't figure out a way to do it with knowledge and truth. They're just trying to find all these, things that have nothing to do with this and, scaring people into believing that this is wrong. Like there's so much fear mongering that goes along with this. And it was amazing to me how many similarities there were to this. Like people were just in an uprising. It was this mob mentality. It's like, oh, these things are evil. And, these witches are causing all kinds of problems and stuff. And that's really not the case. There were no witches. There wasn't any of that going on. And when they figured out that that was the case, and it didn't take them very long, thankfully, they stopped doing that. And I think this is a thing where you just can't take what some, person is screaming out saying that is the truth because it's definitely not. You've got to do research. You've got to look at studies. You've got to do science. And when all of those things point to a product that is so much less harmful than cigarettes, we have to look at that and say, this is the way we should be moving this. There are devices out there now that are, not quite as harm reduction as vaping, but not as harmful as cigarettes, and they're allowing them to say that this is an okay thing. Why can't we make that another step to something that is really safe and something that really is not hurting anyone? It's stuff like this that drives me crazy because when I see things from our past like this, it's just don't keep reliving the past. And when you start looking at history, it'll help you to understand that this is something that should not continue on, okay? I'm going to get off that subject, but I just wanted to kind of bring that up today because I thought it was poignant. Along those same lines, though, I thought it was kind of funny. I'm going to do one birthday today because I think it kind of matches up with what we're talking about today. Judy Garland birthday would have been today. So I thought that was kind of amazing that, the witches and the Wizard of Oz and all that kind of stuff kind of joined in together. So Judy Garland's birthday is today. So happy birthday, Judy Garland. I keep looking behind the curtain and all I really see is big tobacco and big pharma pulling the strings. So as far as Oz is concerned, I think in our particular situation, that's what we're looking at. And they're not telling you the truth and neither was, the real Oz. So, just kind of keep that in mind when you start thinking about vape stuff. All right, time to do some Wake and Vape news. we're going to talk about Michigan. Michigan actually just passed some interesting laws in Michigan, and we're going to kind of go through those. So I'm going to read a little bit this morning to try and not misquote, but like I say all the time, these are just my opinions, so don't take this as gospel. Do your own research. There will be links down in the description so you can kind of look and see what this actually says. So new laws in Michigan separates e-cigarettes from combustible tobacco. Governor Gretchen Whitmer signs a new law that will prohibit the sale of vape products to minors, and it also will put e-cigarettes in a different category than combustible tobacco products. So before this time, I don't know how they were getting away with this, but they didn't have a law in place that limited the sale to minors. So I'm kind of glad that they did that. I think that's definitely the way to go. You don't want to be selling these things to people under the age of 18. I think that realistically that is where we should draw the line with this. I don't think 21 is definitely not the case because there are too many other things that you could do at 18, but at 21, but at 18, I think that's a realistic level to reach for. So minors found in possession of vape products will receive consequences in forms of fines and community service. I think this is great. I think that finally they got to the point where they're going to actually start punishing the people that are actually holding on to these products. I hate the fact that they keep wanting to go after the manufacturers and the stores and all that for things that they have no control over. They're not selling these things to minors, but yet minors are getting their hands on them. And I love the fact that law enforcement is now going to start fines and start community service things with these kids that are caught with vaping products. And what I like about it is that you have to be a certain age to have a job. So if you're 10, 12, 13, 14 years old and you get caught with vape products and you get a fine, it fines your parents. And I love that. Parental responsibility to me is the biggest thing because you got to raise your own kids. All right, stop waiting for the legislation to raise your kids. Okay, stop waiting for laws to be put into place to raise your kids. Tell your kids the truth about what's going on and let them make a logical decision about this. And also, spend some time talking to your kids. It shouldn't be that hard to see if they're addicted to nicotine. All right, it shouldn't be that hard to see if they're vaping. If you notice a watermelon smell coming out of your kid's room every day, do some investigation. Find out if they're actually vaping and stop putting this in the hands of people who can't possibly raise your children. It's your job, and let's take that responsibility. You had the kids, now it's time to raise them. All right? Enough about that. Shops will receive fines also if they are caught selling to minors, and the fines go up as there are multiple infractions. So I think the first one's like $1,000, and it goes all the way up to $2,500, and for every subsequent one, it's another $2,500. I don't think it's harsh enough. I think that the fine should be a lot more for that, especially if they do catch somebody selling to an underage person. But at least this is something moving in the right direction. And I can really kind of get behind this. Now, the other thing that I really like about this is because they have separated combustible tobacco products from e-cigarette products, this puts Michigan in a rare opportunity to do some good. And I'm going to say this now, I don't expect this to happen, believe me, and there are probably a lot of you out there that may disagree with what I'm getting ready to say. But I would love for Michigan to be able to put into effect the vaping for people that are 18 years old, and then make combustible products not available until you're 30. Because I think at the age of 30, you are at the maturity level where you could make that decision to say, I understand all of the things that could happen to me by using combustible products, and I already decide and use that. I'm going to continue and go ahead and use that. If you're 18 years old and you've been vaping for 12 years and that becomes available to you, you're not going to make that switch. That stuff tastes awful, and you would not want to have that awful taste if you could have things like the great flavors that we have available with e-cigarette products. I also think you'd see a lot of health effects go down because they wouldn't be starting that at an early age. And I think that overall, this could be a golden opportunity for Michigan to actually be a trial for something that could work great across the nation. I'm a big proponent for people being able to use these products at the age of 18, but I really don't like combustible tobacco products because they kill 500,000 people every year. Vape products have not killed anyone when used correctly, and the only couple of cases that we've actually seen deaths in have been with irresponsible parents, and I think I've beaten that dead horse today as much as I can. So, like we always say here at Vape AM, we want you to stop smoking or you're gonna die. all right? Make the switch to vaping. It's a much healthier alternative, all right? Also, get over to the vapers1.com website, get an I Vape, I Vote t-shirt, get an I Vape, I Vote hoodie. Stand together with us and show our lawmakers that we do believe that this is for adults, and this is a great way for adults to stop smoking. I love my flavors. I don't want to get rid of my flavors. This is what helped me to make the switch, was the flavors. So please stand with me so we can continue on and have these products available. Plus, if you do me a favor, maybe pick up a bottle of e-liquid or some coils over there. It'll help me continue to kind of do these shows, all right? Guys, it's so great to be able to do these every day. I can't wait till I get to see you again. So stay tuned and we'll see you tomorrow.